Run it, baby. Ricky Cheese, baby!
Hey guys, it's your boy Ricky Cheese with another episode of Grinding for Greatness. On today's show, we've got Florida native and now Arizona State assistant coach Lee Pritts. Today, we'll be discussing how Lee wrestled for Coach Brian Smith at Western High School, finding those hidden gems during the recruiting process, his 125-pound national champ and the change that he endured, and my weight loss journey and how I kept it off for so long. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, and remember to keep grinding for greatness. Thank you for coming on.
I know. I was supposed to be your first college coach, and Brian Smith snubbed me.
Yeah, he did. But, hey, man, he was your high school coach, so how can I do that to him?
Well, get in line.
Say, fuck him.
Get in line, Smitty.
He was a good show, too. Yeah, by the way, being that you brought up Smitty, he did ask me to mention a couple of things to you. So let me see if I can find it. I wrote it down. Oh, he said, ask Pritts about the only match that he lost that was his fault. I guess against Taravella, it was like your only loss. He said he sent you out there. You were so hyped up. You were ready to run through a wall.
Oh, yeah. I was in great shape, and then all of a sudden, great shape. We go for days, and all of a sudden, I didn't know what hitting a wall was, And all of a sudden, I started in ninth grade. I didn't know what tired was.
Right. Well, you were a gymnast. You weren't even a wrestler, bro.
Yeah. But when I started, I didn't know what tired was. You got to learn what tired is, right?
Yeah.
What time you start, so all of a sudden I go out there and I'm starting to get decent, and all of a sudden I hit a wall right in the middle of the match, and I was like, "What is this?" I didn't know what it was. I couldn't move. I couldn't move, and I was like, "That was the only first time I ever felt anything like that." Yeah.
Wow, man.
But he had me so hyped up. That's what it was. I hit the adrenaline dump in the middle of the match but he did. I remember he had to bring the team off the bench and put them in the back and start calming everyone down because.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my fault. That was his fault.
Yeah, he said that. He blamed himself. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you real quick too.
It was
in a podcast I heard you talking about one time when Miller cracked you across the face, and I have a very similar story. I'm a 98 pounder because back then when I wrestled was it 98 when you were in high school or was it 103 back then?
No, 103.
Okay, so back in 82 so I was in high school 82 to 86. So I think it was like 1983, and I was wrestling 98. That was the weight class back then. And do you remember the St. Thomas gym? You walk in, You got the little lobby, and then you got the trophy cases there.
Yeah, and they trapped the rat one time across the stage for me.
Yeah, I remember that, bro. That was some funny shit.
We'll
talk about that in a second. So Miller, it's a big match. We're wrestling Columbus, and Miller goes, "Get out here!" He brings me out in the hallway, and my back is against the trophy case, but I'm like right at the edge of it. So he fucking goes, "Come on, get out there and kick this motherfucker!" Boom! Cracks me across the face. Like, dude, I saw the hardest I've ever been hit in my life.
Yeah.
I saw stars, but my head whipped around and my forehead hit the corner of the trophy case. Right? So I'm like, I knew something happened, but I didn't know, how bad it was. I walk into the gym. I step to the mat. I put my headgear on. It won't go on my head. I got an egg on right above my eye, bro. From where dude, I'm not lying. My dad wanted to beat the fuck out of Miller. I'm like, "Dad, please don't." It happened in the match. He's like, "You're full of shit. It didn't happen in the match." He goes, "You came running out there and you were crying. I know he did something." So needless to say, that was the last time he ever cracked me. But tell me about this story. You had a similar story, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I didn't know. It was.
How'd you like it?
I hated it. It was my first. And I didn't know, like I said, I started ninth grade. I didn't know what the heck was going on. He didn't pay attention until my sophomore year. And so it was my first varsity match. And I didn't know that was a routine, and
yeah.
All of a sudden he comes up to me, said, "Whatever, you get ready, you ready?" I'm like, I don't know. Smack me in the face. And so I ran out there. I was still dialed in on the match. I ran out there and they had ties back then, right? So this is the only match I ever tied too. I tied it in high school, you know, because they had ties, and I tied the match, and I guess the kid was okay, you know, pretty good, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And they come off, hey man, great job, you know. And I'm like, what are they talking about? You know, I was like, I'm still, I'm thinking I tied, same thing. I might as well have lost.
Right.
I'm still mad at Miller. I still got to talk to Miller about why he smacked me in the face. That's what I was like, dude, why? You know, and I had to wait till after the match. I was like, why'd you smack me in the mouth? He's like, to get you ready. I said, no, the whole match. I just wanted to fight you. I didn't care about him. He didn't smack
Holy
me.
shit.
He smacked me.
Man, I miss Miller, man. I haven't talked to him, but he was probably one of the best coaches I've ever had, man. That's some bitch.
I talked to him a couple weeks ago.
Dude, you gotta tell him next time you talk to him, tell him I
Okay.
said hi, man. That was a drilling son of. He taught me how to drill, man. If it
Yeah.
wasn't for Miller, I mean, he was a drilling machine.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing that Smitty told me to ask you was about the time. He said this one was going to piss you off, so he said, ask Pritts about the time that he beat you without any arms, without using any arms.
See, I think Smith is delusional. How old is he now? He's getting old.
A couple years older than me. I'm 56. He's got to be close to 60. 58,
Yeah,
59.
he's getting old. So, you know, all of a sudden, there's a lot of things going on. Like, they made me, like him and his buddies, when they tell stories about me, they made me sound so much cooler than I was and so much more wild than I was.
Yeah.
And then he beat me now with no arms and no legs.
What the hell are you talking about, man? What is he talking about?
I have no idea.
Smitty.
Getting old. I'm telling you, he's getting old. He's getting old and making things up.
He's making shit up. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to ask him.
I'm gonna start telling Smith stories.
I got a couple of those.
Oh, so do I.
Dude, I got a Vic Blasucci story that includes Brian Smith. That it's
And
just
I got lots of stories, but I'm gonna wait until we're all done.
all right. No problem.
I'm talking when we're done coaching.
Oh, shit, I got a while to wait for that.
Yeah.
So, talking about coaching, all right. So, you went to Western High School, you win a couple of state titles, you go to Eastern Michigan, 3-time NCAA qualifier, 96 at 118, you All-American. Then what happens? You go to college, you start coaching?
Yeah, there was a few transfers in there and stuff, but you know, like a junior college and stuff.
Well, yeah, you started JUCO, right?
But I finished at Clarion with Rob Eider and stuff, which was great. But yeah, then I started coaching with Smith at Missouri, and
Oh, that was your first coaching stint?
so I went 6 years Missouri, 3 years Old Dominion, back to Missouri for 3, NC State for 2, and
NC
now
State,
Arizona
right.
State for 12.
Okay. So, yeah, you got hired by Arizona State back in 2012. Damn, it's 12 years already. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. You like it out there?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. How about
So-
your wife and kid?
No, my kids love it. My wife loves it. Yeah.
How old are the kids now?
I have a 20-year-old, 18-year-old,
Oh, my God.
16-year-old, 15-year-old.
Holy shit. Any wrestlers in there?
My 16-year-old daughter started about a year and a half ago.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
no, it's not nice. It's
I
terrible.
I love it, bro. I love girls wrestling, man.
I didn't say I didn't like girls wrestling. You said it's nice. It's the worst shit I ever had in my life.
Well, it's nice because it ain't my daughter wrestling, but
Right.
I love it.
And she said, Daddy, get me shoes. It's like a year and a half ago. I said, no. And she's like, Daddy, get me shoes. I'm wrestling. And I said, baby, you're not wrestling. And long story short, I got her shoes, and
Of course you did.
3 weeks later, but I thought she's a girly girl, man. So 3 weeks later, she gets her hand raised and came home and said, Dad, when they raised my hand, I felt the power.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, oh, no. She just had crack.
Oh,
Just tasted crack cocaine. That's what I was saying.
exactly. She's hooked. That's it. She won.
She won her next match, and then she got murdered for like the next 7 to 10
Oh,
rounds.
no.
Murdered. So I'm getting in my brain ready, going, hey, you started this. You're going to finish the season.
Yeah.
Getting that one, right?
Yeah.
She starts sending me video clips. Dad, I just started this wrestling, so this is what this girl's doing. I don't know how to beat it. You got to show me. And I'm like, oh. And I said, I don't know where she learned that shit from, but all of a sudden I'm like, so yeah, we started, and then she had to have surgery.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 8 anchors.
Holy shit. What happened?
I I mean, it happened wrestling. I got exposed wrestling, but her socket, her balls this big, and her socket was bigger.
Yeah.
So it, it's going to come out. So they had to cut all four sides and then
Holy shit.
tighten it up. So and they're probably going to have to do deal. But she's been back on the mat about 3 months, and she's now at the sixth. Oh, she did 3 months. After 3 months, she's like, I got to get back on them, and I'm like, no, you got to wait 6 months to start drilling. And so I knew she was going to start with her friends. So I told her, I said, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
You promise not to go with your friends. So for the last 3 months, we've been hitting some repetition drilling and build up our reps. And
Nice. Who did the surgery? Did you have the ASU doctors do it, or you have a different doctor?
yeah, the Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
The guy that did her surgery is one of the best in the world. So
Yeah.
we're pretty fortunate that, and he does, a lot of the ASU, all the pro sports out there. But
Awesome.
he's a specialist there, and he took really good care of her. And good.
Good stuff, man. I didn't know you had a daughter that wrestled. And what's her name?
Kelby?
Nice.
Yeah. Kelby, sweet little Kelby's not
Kelby. Oh, Kelby Pritts.
Yep. We're in trouble. I'm in
You
trouble.
you got her training with any of the Olympian girls?
No, not yet. I mean, she comes in, they know her, they talk to her, which is all right there, inspirational.
Yeah.
It's great, and they get her, like Kayla get her shirts and stuff they get their shirts for the Olympic trial. She'll order them for her and my kids.
So cool.
So the kids it's really cool.
Whatever happened? Whatever happened with the girl that you had wrestling? I talked to you about her before. The girl from ASU, the only girl on your team. What was her name again?
Well, the first one, Kelsey.
Marley.
Mardog, yeah. Mardog's still around. She's great. Yeah, she's around. She has
got a big social media presence on like TikTok, bro. She got like a gazillion followers and shit.
Yeah,
she's making money doing that.
Yeah, she's doing a great job, and she's real smart. So she's getting her master's right now, and
good.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of things. She's making moves.
Nice, good for her. Good for her. So let me talk real quick about you're known as one of the best recruiters in the country. What got you to that point? What do you think? Why do you think make people come to you or listen to you? What makes you so good at recruiting?
I'm not. Somebody put it in the paper one day, and everyone.
Well, it must be true.
But you know how it is. It's not. It takes a village to do anything in athletics, and
don't be humble.
No, I'm being truthful. Is we have great. I've been fortunate to be around good people.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the head coaches I've been around, and even the groups of assistants, right, that were in there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's bigger than that. Then you got to look at your administration, right? And I like the one story I have of. I believe people come on campus not because they want to be there. They come on campus on recruiting trips to cross you off the list. Process of elimination.
Okay.
Right? It's kind of a dark way to think of it, but I think it's real too.
Yeah.
If you want to go somewhere, you don't have to see it. That's where you want to be. You don't even have to, right? So they come there and mark you off the list. And we had a mom from Minnesota, and she's walking around, and it's day 2, and about 2:00 in the afternoon, she just got done meeting with more people, and all of a sudden she's like, shit. So right away, I'm like, whoa, what's wrong? What's wrong? She's like, I can't find anything wrong with this place. And it was the people, right? It's not anything else except the people that are going to be around your kids, and you start realizing who's going to be involved in your kid's life, and that's what becomes important.
Yeah.
So, and that's all it is. It's and everybody has their story, right? Every university has their story, and so it's tell your story and have the right people surrounding your kids.
Yeah. What are you looking for in a kid? What are the intangibles?
Driven, kids that love to compete. Those are 2 critical ones.
Yeah.
To me. I can sit on here and say the everyday ones, academic, which it is, right? People, but you don't have to be a strong student. You just got to be. If you're driven, we can motivate you in any area.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to sit here and act like, we've taken some risks on some kids, and we're just graduating one that came in, and very few have low grade. A kid had 2.3, and he came in and thrived and graduating with a 3.23.
Oh, that's nice.
And we just had a team GPA of a 3.42.
Mm-hmm.
So our team's thriving academically, and that's it. If you find people that are driven, you can motivate them in whatever area you need. And then if
Yeah.
they love to compete, you got something special there.
You ever take a kid that maybe wasn't great in high school? Maybe he was. Maybe he didn't even win a state title. Maybe he's just a placer. But you saw something in him and said, "Yeah, man, I think I got to take a chance with this kid." And if
Yeah.
you did, has it ever worked out?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, you start losing track of what people did when they were in high school and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I know that we can go through and be, man, this guy walked on and became an All-American. This guy walked on and became a 2 or 3 time All-American. You know, this guy, this guy walked on and ended up becoming a Division I coach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Maybe didn't even place, made it to the round of 12, did something, but is a Division I coach and thriving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's more of those stories than the superstars, becoming superstars.
Right. Yeah, I was just gonna say there's got to be some stories with the guys that you thought were just gonna be world beaters that kind of fizzled out and didn't do shit really.
Yeah, but it's more about the success in life, right? Or
Yeah.
and so you take a superstar recruit, and all of a sudden he might get on the podium 2, 3, 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Call it 5 to 8, and then you hear people talking about, oh man, and that's hard to do. But then you hear people, oh man, he really failed, and
Yeah.
it's like, what?
Oh yeah.
You
A
know,
perfect example of that is Eric Grajales. Everyone said he didn't do shit and what, the fucking guy took third in the NCAA's. What are you talking about?
yeah, it's pretty
You know,
good.
he wins 4 state titles and he's a Fargo national champ, and because he did so great in high school, everybody just expected or assumed that he was going to have that same success in college, and it's a whole different level, man.
Well,
There's a level to this shit,
you're growing up, right? You're growing up, and so
For
all of a
sure.
sudden you're on your own. You're
Yeah.
making your own decisions, and maybe you don't have a team of people around you. Now you're part of a team. It
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
It changes,
Absolutely.
and you've got to learn to adapt and grow. And so, I guess I judge people's careers more on their growth as a person and the changes they've made from the start to the finish and where they are. And obviously we get paid for what the scoreboard says, right? We get
Right.
paid on the success of the tournaments, but at the end of the day, we do this because of the impact we get to make on people's lives.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
The growth that they have. That's why we do it. All right. That's why I do. I can't speak for everyone. That's why I do it.
Yep. Yep. How much of Brian Smith's coaching style rubbed off on you? How much of Brian Smith do you have in you?
Yeah, I'd say a good amount, right? We spent 9 years together coaching, 2 years as my high school coach. But, I'd say all my coaches have from a Mike and Vic Blasucci,
Yeah.
who had different roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
To, my junior college coaches, to, whether I loved the coach or didn't get along with the coach, there was things I took and things I said, I'm going to make sure I never do that, I mean, I learned from all of them. And, Willie Gatson, I took so much from him because, he was out of the college game. He got out of the college game in the middle of my junior year. And so now as somebody I was close to that wasn't in the college game, that had experience in the college game while I'm trying to learn this thing. And he was a guy I leaned on heavily. So there wasn't 2 weeks that went by until the day he died that I didn't talk to him. So yeah, all those guys did. Miller. I mean, they, there was a lot that I learned. Don Beam, who just from summer camps.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was 68 silver medalist.
Wow.
But Miller took us to camp, and I had the opportunity to spend a few weeks with him in the summers, and that impacted me, and now he's out at Arizona State, and during
Yeah.
the season, he lives in Michigan, but during the season he lives in Arizona when it's cold up there, and so he's around quite a bit, and I get to pick his brain still.
Oh yeah.
I think it's constantly evolving. Like an athlete, you got to keep evolving.
Do you have like you just said that you would pick these guys' brains? Do you have any young up and coming coaches that are leaning on you right now?
No,
No.
nobody want to talk to me.
Fucking
Like,
Lee,
I don't
man.
know how Fritz is doing. I don't know what Fritz is doing, but he's trying to get.
Oh, you're a funny
Not
dude,
necessarily.
man.
Yeah, I don't. I think we all do the same thing, man. I think we all just communicate and try to figure out. Times are moving, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
times are changing really fast. And whether I don't care if it's college wrestling, if it's freestyle, women's wrestling that's growing, on the high school level really fast, and there's NILs happening. There's so many things that are happening,
Oh yeah.
and we're all trying to learn. And I think we're all trying to learn from each other, and even different programs are, probably talking more than they probably used to a little bit.
How many camps are you doing a year, man?
I only do about 10 to 12 days outside camps.
That's it?
That's it. Like in the summer, 10 to 12 days.
Yeah.
I don't do a ton of those camps. Then I got our ASU camps. But then after that, it's pretty much I'll do well, this year it's the Olympic team training camps, but sometimes it's world team training camps.
Yeah.
So we have the different training camps there and then a few here and there in the fall.
Yeah.
But those are more promotional things or coaches clinics or doing things. But
Well,
like,
I know the Lake Gibson one. Everybody looks forward to that because you're going to be there with your boy Danny Walker. I love Walker, man.
I love them.
He's a good dude, bro.
We've been doing them 20 plus years now. There,
Yeah. It's a good camp, man.
it's fun.
It's a
Because
good
it's not
camp.
like a normal camp. We don't go in there. I train them like they're my team.
Right. I think
Right.
that's what makes it so awesome.
Yeah. And so there's outsiders that come to it, which is great, right? And we get a good crew of them, and
Yep.
they end up, and obviously I designed the curriculum for Lake Gibson because of what their needs were, and then
Yeah.
the way we do it, and then it was cool. It kind of snowballed, and obviously we didn't know we'd be doing it for this long together, but it's as long as I can put wrestling shoes on, I'll be going there.
Absolutely. So let me go back to 1996, and this is going to kind of segue into another topic. But Florida's come so far from when you wrestled in high school, when I wrestled in high school, and I thought it was pretty friggin' tough back then. But now just the depth is getting a lot deeper with Florida wrestling. But back in '96, when you All American, I think there was like 5 or 6 or 4, like five, I think 5, right? 5 guys from Florida that All American with you.
Yeah.
I think it was like you, Bono,
Rulon,
Hayeswood.
no, Rulon Gardner.
Oh, Gardner, right?
Joel Morsetti.
Yeah.
And then
wait, you, Gardner, who else?
Mike Rogers.
Oh, Rogers, right?
Right.
That's nice. And now I don't see a lot of Florida guys on the ASU roster. I mean, there was I think one this year, the kid from Walton, Max Brewster.
Yeah.
From South Fort Walton or Fort Walton Beach. But over the years, there's been a few, just not a whole lot. But then again, it's across the country. Do you get to come out? You probably don't get to come out to the state tournament too often because it's right around the time when you're doing shit, right?
For me personally, I don't go to many state tournaments. I don't like to. For the time of the year, it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard unless you have a target. It's pretty hard. You're trying to you want to be with your team as much as possible right then. And that's being a little selfish, but at the same time, it is what it is. And there's before all these national tournaments, you would go to the state tournaments.
Right.
Right. But I think that's another thing that's changed a little bit is why do I want to go to a state tournament when I can go to a national tournament and see them compete against everybody?
Yeah. Good point.
You
Very
know?
good point. Yep.
So it's like state tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get out to NHSCA's.
Yeah, I go typically I go
Super
to
32.
I go to Journeyman, I go to Super 32, I go to Ironman.
Yep.
We usually have someone at Beast, NHSCA. Obviously all the age level world team trials.
Yeah.
Fargo, Powerade.
Mm-hmm.
You go on and on, with
Yeah.
all
Doc B. You got all those big ones.
Doc B, been to Doc B,
Yep.
Dvorak, right?
Yep.
So all the big ones.
Yeah. Lake Highland Prep goes to all those. The Doc B, the Dvorak,
Right.
they're always there.
And David Dennis is sitting over here talking about he got 3 or 4 in his back pocket that he ain't telling anybody about. And my boys being there sneaking us.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, what's up with Damn, I was just gonna ask you. Oh, what's up with your national champ this year, man? Congratulations on that, Figueroa.
Yeah.
And I thought Teamer had a better chance of winning than he did, but he fucking came out and won himself a national title. Did you, before any of that happened, did you think he had a good shot? What was your thoughts behind that?
Well, I don't. Yes, of course. We knew he had to make some changes.
Yeah.
Mentally, emotionally, and like I said, it takes a village, right? And
yeah, I was just gonna ask, how do you make that happen? Because that ain't easy.
He makes it happen.
Yeah,
right?
well,
And no, 100%, he makes it happen. Now, whether that's allowing people in, opening doors, breaking down walls,
yeah,
right? It's and it usually stops with him putting the walls up and everyone around him. He talks about it and he talked about it publicly, and so I think I'm fine talking about it publicly too. But it was a thing where I he was mad at me because I was calling him out. I was telling him how it was, and he didn't like it. So right away was the first answer. He sent a text to Zeke, I'm transferring. And everyone's trying to come get him anyway, right? People are already trying to come get him.
right.
And so I remember later on that night, and everyone's like, you got to fix it, you got to fix it. I'm like, I'm not fixing anything. And I wasn't trying to fix anything. I was being honest with the kid I was coaching him in. And this is a small piece of it. This was, I think, a big turning point in it, though, was that night I called him. I said, you remember your sophomore year when I said, you're committing to us for 5 years? I said, you remember our conversation? He said, which one? I said, well, I said, are you transferring? I heard you're going to transfer. Yup. He's tough. He's a tough guy, right? He goes,
Yeah.
yup. And I said, you remember our sophomore year conversation when, or junior year conversation when you committed to us, whatever it was. And I said, you're committing to us for 5 years, but I'm committing to you for a lifetime.
Mm.
He said, yeah. I said, so you think I care what singlet you wear? I said, where are you going? You going to Okie State? You going to Iowa, Michigan,
I fucking
Penn
love
State? Where are you going? I said,
Hell yeah, Pritts.
I said, you can put on whatever singlet you want, but when you're messing up, I'm going to be there.
Oh, wow.
And when you're telling the truth, or when you're winning and you're doing good things, I'm going to be there. I said, so you can put on any singlet you want, but I ain't going anywhere.
Did you mean that?
100%.
That's heavy, bro. That had to hit him like a ton of fucking bricks.
Yeah, and well, he was still mad at me though. He's tough, so he's not, and so we made, inside the program we did some things to adjust, and then he did some things outside communicating with people and opening up to some other people, and it was good. He came in, he started getting really light mentally, and he started fighting. And he started fighting. And he started building and fighting.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's a secret how much talent he's had. It was just a
Right.
matter of him getting to a spot to where he was ready to compete, and he did a good job of it. He's got great tactics, great strategy, and and great skill.
Yeah.
So you put it all together, and you got a good wrestler if they allow themselves to be that guy come competition day. So that's why I always give credit to the athlete, because it doesn't matter how many people you put around them if they're not willing to open the doors to all of it, right? To praise, to what the threats, to everything, and really analyze and break it down. So, and I think that's all the athletes that end up having success.
Yeah. That was an awesome story, man. Thank you for sharing that. I got a question that was just sent in by your boy Casey Thompson, who's listening. Casey said, "Please address the big issue: why people complain that high school and college only wrestle folk style. Can you explain to them the reasons why freestyle and Greco will make you a much better folk style collegiate wrestler?"
Oh, Dan Dennis, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, bring him in, man.
That's all you, Chris. That's all you.
Yeah,
Answer the fucking question.
I know. I don't know that there's an easy answer. We all probably have different opinions. That's why I opened it up, threw it out to him, because I do think they're different sports, right? I do think they're different sports, and there is some different techniques, and obviously tactics and strategies change. But and it's where you're going to train at. But I do think you have to be more, uh, you have to be a little more careful, a little more direct in your approach, in your transitions from your attack to your finishes,
Yeah.
right? Because obviously, giving up, when you first start wrestling freestyle, you end up getting a takedown. You look up and you're like 6-2. Him, I scored. And so I think learning those adjustments and learning how to control. But I think especially in high school, match experience, right? How many matches I was getting probably 80 matches in a spring and summer in
Oh
freestyle,
yeah. Yep.
you know. So match experience, right? I think all that, but I'm sure somebody, everyone you talk to is going to have a little different opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I love freestyle. I always have. Wasn't big into Greco. Miller was always just a big freestyle guy, so I kind
Yeah.
of went with what he did. But Chase loved Greco, loved freestyle too. But Chase was good in Greco. Have you talked to Casey lately?
Yeah. Not too long ago.
How long ago? How long's it been?
Maybe 3 months ago.
Okay, so you don't know about Chase. Chase gonna be a cop.
I think I do know that.
Oh, you did know that?
I don't think I knew that.
Oh,
No,
you didn't know that?
no.
Okay, so
He's down. I seen pictures. He's down. He's
bro,
shredded.
yeah, he's got abs and shit. But so my wife Lori, her son, my stepson, is a sergeant at Boynton Beach Police Department. He's a sergeant in the Major Crimes Division. So I said, "Hey man, I got this kid, man. If you want to get a good one, you should get him hired." So he's getting him through the whole process, and he got hired, man. He'll be starting the academy in August. So Chase is gonna be a cop, man.
Wild.
Right?
Wild.
Remember when he was like tiny?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Little sweet little curly headed dude
Yeah.
throwing mugs on their head.
Yep. Yep. Friggin' Chase, man. I can't believe it. Kid's like fucking gonna be 21 years old already, man. Time flies, man.
Yeah.
We're old, Pritts. We're old.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
I speak French.
It was one of the two.
Hey, shit, I got 5 years. What are you, 50, 51?
50.
You're 51, dude.
No, I'm 50.
Are you 50?
Yeah, March 7th.
Okay.
50.
Yeah. Shit, man. I got 6 years on you. I am old, bro.
Yeah.
Dude,
No,
I got a 35-year-old, 34. Nick is 34, I think. 34, 35, something like that.
yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
In 6 years, don't worry, I'll call myself old too.
I feel good though, bro.
Yeah.
That's got to count for something, man.
Well, you got like ginormous for a minute, and then
Bro, let me tell you something. I was you won't believe this. Well, you will because you saw me, but at 5'6", I was 307 pounds, dude. Oh, dude, it was disgusting.
Make that up.
Bro, that's true. I'll show you the pictures. So, yeah. So from the time I was about 20, no, so from 30 to about 40, 48, 49 years old, I just fucking just destroyed myself with food. Just didn't give a fuck. Was eating everything, wasn't working out, just going through depression and divorce, and just shit gets to you. You know how that shit goes. But man, it was disgusting. Like people didn't recognize me. They're like, who's that?
Yeah.
So then I was like, the doctor said, you're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to have a stroke. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to die. And I'm like, man, I got 4 kids. I got grandkids now. No, I'm not going nowhere. And I'm like, I'm done, man. And in 13 months, I lost 127 pounds, dude. Dude, that wrestling mindset never leaves, bro. I was like, that's it. I'm cutting weight again. Cutting, man. And yeah, I'm walking around like anywhere between 182, 184. I think I was like 184 this morning. That's it, man. Done.
That's great. That's great.
Dude, how do you walk around at fucking 5'6", 307, man?
Thighs just rubbing.
Dude, I was starting fires. Dude, it was like, I hadn't seen it in a long time. They're like,
you had to stand on a mirror.
I did. They said, hey, man. I said, man, I haven't seen it in a long time. They're like, well, why don't you dye it? I'm like, well, what color is it now, man?
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I didn't. Oh man, but yeah, I'm healthy as can be now, man. I'm healthy.
I know. I knew. I watched you go through the process, and it was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah. You know what? You know what did it for me? The main thing. Yeah, the doctors telling me I was going to die. The main thing was this. 2017. So I started the weight loss journey in 2018. But in 2017, when my youngest son Bryce was in the state finals,
yeah,
he fucking pins his guy in the state finals, and I'm sitting in the upper row because I can't get clothes that can fit me, and I'm wearing the same fat guy stretchy shorts and ripped up fucking stretched out St. Thomas t-shirt. Embarrassed. I didn't want to embarrass my son. So I didn't get to have him jump in my arms. I didn't get to sit in the corner of the mat. I didn't get to do any of that shit. And I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, and my buddy from New Jersey, he said that. He just called me out. He goes, look at you, you fat piece of shit. What are you doing? For real.
Hey.
And I love him for that.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's your boy.
It is my boy. He's like my brother, man. I'm like, all these other people, oh no, you don't look bad. You lying what are you talking about? You're gonna let me die, man. But you gotta take responsibility for your own shit. And I did, and now I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It was very cool.
Yep. But yeah, man, I'll never get that moment back of him winning that state title. But I got films of it. I can watch it, and it was an awesome thing.
But you might be dead now.
I could be dead. Could be dead.
You'd be dead now.
Very valid point, man. Very valid point.
That's a win-win, dog.
100%, man. Hey, Lee, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to let you get back to your night. My wife's screaming for me, so I'm going to hit the sack and get to work tomorrow. Hit me up if you need anything. If you're ever in Florida, if you need anything promoted on the page, let me know, bro.
All right. I appreciate you. Same here.
Absolutely. All right, man. Much love and respect. Take care, Lee.